Hello there and welcome back. It's a rainy day outside, so let's grab a coffee and talk about SQL model. So SQL model is part of the fastapi project. And fastapi is near and dear to my heart because it allows us to develop APIs in a user-friendly manner, and it's really an awesome tool. I am, let's say, a heavy user of it. So in this video, we are going to dedicate it to SQL model. So let's pick up our code. What I'm going to do is to use my Python repository, and let's create the SQL modeling.py. This is going to be our source code. What the hell? So quit. I don't know, I had a recent update with this NeoVim and sometimes it likes to misbehave. Cool, so you can see my screen and we are going to talk about SQL model. So SQL model allows us to create or work with databases in Python and is designed for simplicity and ease of use. So in order to utilize it, what we have to do is to install it. So pip install SQL model. And once the installation is complete, what is happening? We can start right into it. So now the module is installed. So we can create our script. So basically, we have to import from the SQL model the field and the SQL model classes. And then we can create our class. What should this class represent? Let's represent student. And what we have to do is to make sure it inherits from SQL model, and we have to use a table equals true. And then what we can do is to create the attributes which are going to translate to columns. So basically this ID is going to be an integer, and from the typing module we can import the optional class, and in that sense we can use the optional with the int attribute, and this is going to be a field, and this field is going to have a default of none, and we are going to have a primary key true, which translates in SQL to having a column where we don't allow to be duplicate values. And each of our students is going to have a name, which is a string, and they are going to have an age, which is an integer, and maybe a class name, which is going to be a string, and so on. So we have created our table, and we can create instances of these. So student 1 is going to be a student where the name is going to be Daniel, and the age is going to be 33, and the class name is going to be B. So in Hungary, we have A, B, C, and so on class names. And I always was a B class student. So let's create another student. And this is going to have a name of, let's say, a good friend of mine, Balázs. And he is supposed to be 34-ish years old. And he was also in the same class as I was, so class B. We were always competing in math class, who can calculate the results sooner in head. And let's create another student who is going to be called Viola. And she is around the same age as we were. Let's give her 32. And the class name is going to be C. So she was attending, or she belonged to a different class. And once we have our students defined, what we can do is to extend our import. So we also need the session and the create engine. And with this, what we can do is to create our engine, which is coming from the create engine. And we say that it is going to talk the SQLite dialect. And we call the students.db. And basically, we can call the SQLModel dot metadata dot create all engine, and with session passed with the engine attribute as session, we can call the session.add student1 session.add student2 and session.add student3, and then the session.commit. And basically, this way we have saved our students inside our database. Let's save it. And what we want to do is to call it. So let me make it a bit bigger. And we call the Python 3 SQL modeling.py. And if it executes successfully, we should have a students.db, which holds the information that we wanted to store. And yeah, that's kind of it. If we want, we can also use queries. So what I'm going to do here is to comment out these lines. And basically, I am going to create the following. So with session engine as session, we can have a statement which says that I want to select from the student where student.name is equal to Daniel, and I want to call or record it as a student variable, and I will call the session.exec statement, and I want the first result, and what I can do is to print the student. And I am going to need the select and the where, or rather just the select to be imported. And if you go back here and run it, you can see that we were able to successfully select this user or student, so to speak. And I'm going to link the documentation for SQLModel in the description, but I think it's a pretty convenient and nice way to interact with databases. See you in the next one.